Are you ready to be unleashed and unstoppable?
Are you ready to experience a breakthrough and step into your next level of leadership?
Living a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms, unapologetically.
This podcast is for discovering how to play big, how to be unleashed and unstoppable.
Through wiring inner success at the source as you step into your full potential as a wildly ambitious leader.
We are
Alexanne Carter and
Carol Register. We are certified Master Neurocoaches and the founders of Unleashed and Unstoppable You.
We're best known for being confidence-boosting, neurohacking, productivity, and wealth experts.
And for high-achieving leaders, visionaries, and entrepreneurs.
Now let's be unleashed and unstoppable. Hey, wildly ambitious leaders. Welcome to our very first episode of Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast. Alexanne Carter here, founder and CEO of Ambition Unleashed. And I've got Carol Register with Success Uniquely Yours. And we are so excited to introduce you to this brand new podcast that we are putting together. So to get us started, let's just share, Carol, a little bit about, who we are, our stories, and why we put our brains together to come up with the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast for our audience.
I am so excited to share with you guys. Listen, I was really standing in my own way. I was really stuck. I was running a business overseas. I had a vision. I could see it. It was right there. And I was just grasping for it. And I couldn't reach it. And I kept making one step forward, two steps back. I was on this start and stop cycle big time. And then I finally got connected with our mentor, who we were certified through, Dr. Shannon Irvin, and heard her say that you can remove your limiting beliefs. I went, what? You can do what? I'm in. Count me in. So I am an international multi-business owner, global investor, speaker, consultant, and neurocoach. And I combine my program with the principles of wealth because we did not grow up learning how the wealthy operate. And once you have principles that are in alignment with your values, you can make decisions about your finances very easily, very quickly. It removes all that decision-making fatigue. And combining the neuroscience with the principles of wealth brings you rapid results, super rapid results in creating the reality that you want and get to create. And Alex, I'm turning it over to you for your specialty and how you got started.
Thanks, Carol. Well, as Carol said, we both met in our Master Neurocoaching Certification program. And for me, I had a very bit of a different story. I actually had just experienced a burnout, at what I thought was the peak of my career. And I had no idea that part of what led to my burnout was the thoughts and this internal dialogue that I had going on in my head. This fear of failure, the fear of not looking good, and I had a lot of beliefs around needing to work really hard to be really successful. And so I found myself living on this, what I call the hamster wheel, right? This complete reactive mode and just like circling. And I found myself over and over again, like saying to myself, like, this isn't sustainable. I knew that my husband and I had talked about like starting to have a family. And I was like, this just isn't sustainable. Feeling like I'm working, 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week. I really lived off this like work hard, play hard mentality. And I had no idea that this belief of this work hard, play hard mentality was then leading me down this path to burnout. And even when I hit the burnout, I still wouldn't come to terms with that. This is exactly what I experienced. And as I heard, actually, I think, Carol, you and I were listening to the same podcast with Hal Elrod, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Learning about the brain and neuroscience and neural pathways and the stories and the beliefs and the role that society, plays on how we show up and our productivity. And then, I got really curious and enrolled in the same program as Carol. And here we are a couple of years later with our own businesses, and we are now international speakers and now putting together our very first podcast. Carol looking at the principles of wealth, myself looking at, principles of productivity, both of us working with high performers and really helping the women and the men that we work with really, create that next level of success, right? Helping them get out of their own way,
Yeah.
helping them sort of quiet the internal chatter that's going on in their brains, creating this uncertainty, this guilt, right? We talked in our intro, right? Really living life or building lives unapologetically, right? On your own terms, and being able to break through some of the systems and the patterns that have led you to where you are today, but really may not be supporting you in really where you want to go in the next chapter, next stage of your life and business. So
maybe you're just like us, where you've been a high achiever and you've had a high level of success, and yet you find yourself stuck again, and what's going on there? Why are these negative voices in your head speaking to you all the time? And, breaking the patterns that can be family patterns. They can be cultural patterns. They can come from our childhoods, and primarily they do, which we'll speak about in a minute. But we really want you to be able to have the information that you need to have a better life and create this reality that you want in the way that you want to create it. And having that control, Alex, you spoke about that earlier with me, about how this gives you amazing control. And I love that. Because maybe you've been walking along and thinking, I just have to accept life like this. I just have to take it as it comes and live a life of default. No, you get to live a life of intention. You get to live a life that you choose. So yeah, I would love to hear more of your thoughts on that, Alex. And then we can talk about the neuroscience as well.
Well, and we were kind of talking about that before we got started today, right? We talked about like what I think was so fascinating when I learned about the brain and neuroscience and really how our brain functions and is wired, is that you literally, you now get back in control in the driver's seat of your life. Right. Once you understand how your brain works and how your brain is wired and how you've been operating up until now, when you've been able to identify some of the patterns that have been showing up for you or functioning a certain way up until this point, and you can start to identify that. And once you have the tools to then be able to interrupt those thought patterns, like it's so freeing, because, many really ambitious and driven, men and women and really high achievers, they like to be in control. So if you're a listener and you're like, yes, I love to be in control, I love to understand where I'm going. Well, actually understanding how your brain is wired and really, understanding the importance of being able to identify, the patterns, and then having tools to then break those patterns, it actually gives you back control. It actually supports you in really embodying that your gifts and your passions and your purposes, and really being able to then really go out and build out what that life looks like for you. And Carol, I know you and I talked about like really building a life backwards by design. And that's the power when you have these tools and you understand how your brain works, and you're really clear on what is it you really want to be creating and how you want to be feeling. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to go dive into a little bit, how do you go about building a life backwards by design? But we just wanted to, get you guys started with our very first episode and just dive in and share with you again who we are, why we're here, diving in a little bit of the neuroscience, and just how when you're able, I think Carol, you said this, right? How when you are instead of living a life on default, right, you get to live a life of intent. And that's I
love the way you brought up freedom too. Freedom is a key point. Wouldn't you love to have freedom? Wouldn't you love to have time and money back and have great relationships and have great health? And so often this is what it's all about, where we're hearing all these voices telling us that we can't have that. We can't have that for this reason or that reason. We don't deserve it. We're not worth it. Whatever the reason may be that you're hearing in your head, that you can't live a big, beautiful, wonderful life, we're here to help you know that those voices are not right. They're not true. And you can replace them with the truth that'll bring you to the freedom that you want. So I love that you brought up that word freedom.
Well, and Carol, you and I see this time and time again, and we've been there too, right? Hearing the story around needing to work hard to be successful. And so you continuously work hard. Carol and I both worked in the education system, right? we see what happens, and, it's, striving for more and doing better, and realizing that if you are operating from a story like that, and we're going to share many different possible stories that could be running in your subconscious mind without even knowing it. But example of like, you need to work hard, you're going to continuously work hard. And that's where I see, especially, my clients, where they end up burning out because they constantly feel like they need to work hard. And the moment things seem to be a little bit easier, or things start to seem too simple, they dismiss it, and it goes back to, somehow creating hard and needing to this whole hustle and grind piece that then sends them on this potential path to burnout. So I'm just so excited for everything that we're going to get to dive in,
Me too.
with this podcast. So I guess let's share a bit with the audience, like the neuroscience. So for those that I didn't even know myself when I first heard this idea of neuroscience, like, what is it a little bit, and how are we going to be diving into speaking into neuroscience, how it's related to our productivity, our success, our relationships, our wealth, our health, and Carol, do you want to dive into a little bit more?
I would love to dive into that. I love this just like you do. We, Alex, Leanna, and I know that our brains are always working for us, right? They are protecting the beautiful subconscious, the automated system that we have, and keeping us safe is one of the ways the brain protects that system. So when you have these voices in your head, your brain's actually working for you. Wait, what? It's doing so by guarding whatever is automated, even if it's faulty. And that's the problem. That's where the rub comes in, right? We have about 99% or more of our limiting beliefs coming from our childhoods and from traumatic experiences. So it's important to recognize what's operating there in order to be able to rewire it. And that's the exciting news. We can actually remove those limiting beliefs and wire in the things that we are wanting to create, our success, our great health, our great relationships. And when you improve any one area, when you go after any one area, we're like, what's the saying? It's coming to me. A rising tide raises all boats, right? Mm-hmm. So you may be going to work on your productivity, or really wanting to dive into your money mastery, or really wanting to create a scale in your business, and better relationship and health, and those other things, your education, your spirituality. You start to work in any one area, and you're going to see all areas begin to shift and improve. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on the way our brains work, the neuroscience of it. And
I think what always landed with me, and this was what, especially for like the high achievers out there and those that are looking at really, talk about neurohacking and productivity, is that 90 to 95% of your results come from the thoughts and beliefs stored in your subconscious mind. Yeah. So let me say that again, 90 to 95% of your results come from how you're operating based on the thoughts that are stored in your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So your thoughts and belief system, they're going to affect the decisions that you make, which ultimately impact the actions that you take, which ultimately affect the results that you are then going to create. And so when you can get to the core root of what is operating this belief system, this can ultimately completely change the trajectory of the results in the life that you create. And like Carol's saying, the way you show up in one area of your life is the way you show up in all areas of your life, because the root of the belief is really going to be showing up in each area.
Yeah.
And
we're going to be talking about the roots actually tomorrow. Yeah. We're going to really dive deep into that. And they're even saying up to 97%. So
what's your blind spot? So that was the word I was looking for. I kind of lost my thought there. And I was like, and what happens is it becomes a blind spot. And this is why I know that Carol and I love the work that we do with our clients, because we are able to support our clients in finding out what the blind spots are. a trainer that I was listening to a couple of weeks ago gave the example of it's like you are in a bottle and we, like Carol and I, are like on the outside of the bottle reading the label. So when you're inside of a bottle, you can't read the label, right? You're in the bottle, you can see the bottle, you can feel the bottle, but you're not able to really read the label because the label's on the other side. And that's the power that, when you can identify those blind spots, right? And really get connected with the internal chatter, right? The monkey brain, right? The internal that's going on, and really uncover some of the beliefs and the thoughts. For example, like I said earlier, right? Like you got to work hard to be successful. Yeah. It's unbelievable when you can shift that thought and belief, and, we'll go into more of the steps of what that looks like to really support you in being able to shift the story that served you up until now, right? But that you then get back in control and really can support and make the decisions, right? We'll talk about deciding in advance, getting clarity on what it is that you want to be creating, and then really create a belief system and thought patterns that are then aligned with what it is that you want to create.
I love that, Alex. And, I actually just had a thought. In addition, one of the things we'll be bringing you is stories of our clients and where they've come from, what their transformations are, and even our own stories, because Alex and I walk the talk. We use these tools every day in our own lives, and we've experienced the transformations that we now deliver to you. And we're excited about that. So,
I was on the phone with you yesterday, wasn't I? I was like, Carol, I noticed there's resistance, right? And that's actually, I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge. Like if you're noticing resistance, you're noticing feeling uncomfortable, that's usually there's pretty good telltale sign that there's something there. And that's what happened. I was noticing, our lives, right, are constantly shifting and changing. And so I was noticing this resistance, and I called up Carol, and then she was able to support me. Cause I shared before, blind spots, right? Have a hard time seeing it when we're in it. And so, no, I'm just so excited for what's to come for you, for the listeners. And do we want to share a little bit on, what to expect? And of course,
we, one of the things that we want to be able to deliver to you, we will deliver to you, is that you will have the knowledge of where to start with looking at limiting beliefs and walking through what you can do. We're here to deliver quick wins for you that you can take and take action on right away to start to live that life that you deserve to live, that full life, that abundant life that you deserve. And you are here for a purpose. You are here with a voice that matters. And we're excited to help you live into to who you truly are, right? And knowing that you can operate from who you are. So that being piece, right, Alex? We're excited to deliver results in that area about your identity, about your purpose. As Alex was talking about earlier with the clarity, having that clarity and that certainty, the knowledge to make the decisions you want to make to give you back the control and the freedom in your life that you deserve to have.
So I guess we've got 2 action steps we want to invite you to take today. I think the first one, of course, is to hit the follow us or subscribe button to be able to, find out when our next podcast episode is released. We are going to have one released each week. And then Carol, you kind of sparked me to think about inviting our audience to actually get to ask themselves a question, right? Yeah. What is that next level of success for you? Where do you want to go? What do you want your life to look like? Like if you were to look at at level 10, right? In your health, your relationships, your business, your finance, your freedom, like what does that look like to you? To live a life on your own terms, like just get really curious. So just to, get a piece of paper out, just kind of journal, jot some ideas down, because that's honestly one of the first steps is really having, like you just said, the clarity on where it is that you want to go and what it is that you want to be creating and what do you want to be experiencing. So I think that's a great first step to get our audience just started with us today. And then of course, right, hit the follow us, subscribe button, connect with us as well on social. So I'm on Instagram at alex.leanne.carter. And then Carol, you want to share where our audience can connect with you?
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn at Carol Register, on Facebook at Carol Register, and I have a Facebook page, Success Uniquely Yours. Yeah, I look forward to meeting with you guys and talking with you. And I know Alex and I are super excited to bring even more great information.
And we'll also drop in the show notes how you guys can connect with us, because I also have a Facebook community called Productivity Secrets of the High Performing Female Leader. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, isn't it? So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in to our very first episode. And we can't wait to see you on our next one. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alex Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.